Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Central Nervous System's Acumatica training class on accounts receivable management. I'm going to hop right into it today and have a look at our agenda for the class. So for those that are new, we do have weekly training classes that cover different topics. These are available to our clients, and a schedule can be found at acumaticaengineering.com/acumatica-training. On the right, you'll see the next three topics, or the next two topics today with accounts receivable review, next week with project change orders, followed by a session on generic inquiry and dashboards. This session, as well as every other, is recorded and available. So you can go and have a look at a backlog of our training classes at acumaticaengineering.com/maintenance-classes. The good thing about these sessions is there is an opportunity to submit questions using the question box, and we'll look to answer as many of those as we have time for. If we don't answer them, then we will post a follow-up video to our blog with the answer. And you can find some other useful tips there. You'll be heading over to acumaticaengineering.com/engineering-blog. You'll find the answer to unanswered questions, as well as any other potential useful tips that you could use in Acumatica. Okay, so let's move on now and look at the agenda for today's session. So today's agenda with AR, we're going to have a dive into AR aging reports. We're going to look at credit holds and what we can do with those. We'll have a chat about calculating overdue charges and the calculations for those, and potentially the setup. And then we'll have a look at customer statements and how to run those in Acumatica, leaving time for questions if we have any. So AR aging reports, there's a multitude of reports available. Most of the, if not all, of our aging reports have home currency reports, followed by a very similar report that will display the information in multi-currency. So this will be useful for users of Acumatica that have multi-currency set up and are selling or invoicing their clients in multiple currencies. The key reports will be for your aging are going to be based on the aging settings that's set up for the statement cycle, which will be found in AR preferences. So here we've got a little snippet. We've got current, which is blank. We then have 1 to 10 days, or 0 to 10 days, 11 to 30 day, 31 to 60, over 60, and we're looking to base that aging on the due date of the document, not the document date or the invoice date. That option is present for AR aging. So first report we're going to look at is the AR aged, which shows AR documents whose document dates are earlier than or the same as the aging date. Okay. The next one is the AR coming due, which is designed to show you when you should expect to get payments for outstanding AR documents. Okay. It shows open accounts receivable documents, even if they are posted to periods later than the aging date period. So with the AR coming due, it's a good report for gauging potential inbound forecast. And let's just have a look here. Some more AR aging reports. So we've got AR balance by customer, which displays the outstanding balances of a selected customer during the period. And then finally, we have an age sensitive report, which is an aging report, but it's based on a historical cutoff. And the report is really there to determine the state of open documents at the end of a particular period. Um, it will help to reconcile against your AR accounts or the totals that are there in your uh, balance sheet. Payments in the future are not applied in this report, and so that's why this report is very static for period by period results. So let's have a look in Acumatica and check out the setup for aging, and then have a look at some of these reports. So in Acumatica, if we head over to receivables, we're going to go to, let's have a look at accounts receivable preferences. Oops, sorry, preferences statement cycles. So we've got a basic statement cycle here for end of the month. And that's where we apply our aging settings. And again, we're aging it based on the due date of those invoices. Okay. You'll also see that on the statement cycle. Something we'll talk about a little bit later is our finance charge settings, which is apply overdue charges based on the overdue charge ID of, in this case, overdue. So now that we've got this statement cycle set up, end of the month, and we've applied the aging settings, as well as any overdue charge settings that we want, we then can head over to customers. Give that a second to load. And if we open up, let's just pick any one of these. If we head over to the financial tab, you'll see that the statement cycle ID that is used for this customer will reference the end of month statement cycle that we created and had those aging settings applied to. So that's how that setup is all connected to customer cards. We can open up another one, just have another look. End of the month. Okay. So heading back to receivables, first two reports we're going to look at are found here in the report section. And as you can see, we've got AR aging, and then we have AR aging MC, so our multi-currency settings. We have AR coming due, and then we have AR coming due MC to show us the multi-currency. So let's open up AR aging. Okay. So with AR aging, we can refine the report to give us specific customer class or a specific customer. What we want to do here is we want to pick a particular aging date. This is some old data here, so it's a demo database that we have. So I'm going to pick something in the past so that we can get some useful results. Let's try 10th here of 2021. See what we get. So based on an aging date of January 10th, 2021, we have some documents here that are in the 1 to 10 day category. The due date here is December 2nd, 2020. So this puts it in the 31 to 60 day bucket. for this document, it's in the 31 to 60 day bucket, and so forth. And so as of this day, we have totals for each customer, and the totals are based on the aging dates that we've applied to the statement cycle. And all of these customers are on the end of month statement cycle, which is recommended. If we were to go and adjust this, let's say we were to go to November 11th, January 17th, sorry, we might see some changes to how the buckets are calculated. So instead of this now being in the 31 to 60, it's now in the 11 to 30 day category. We can run the same information in multi-currency, and that'll provide you with documents in their base currencies, not converted. Let's choose the 10th. So here you'll see that there's an extra row. So we've got document or document currency, and then the total for the customer if there's more than two different types of document currencies. It'll convert everything to the bottom. So see if we can find something that is not USD. Okay, so over here we've got a document that is in Canadian. It's over 60 days, and then it converts to US, and then we have total US for the client because our home currency is US. That's on CompuSource. Let's go and have a look and see what else there is. Here we've got a client, quick process, QVIC process. We've got documents that are in Euro. They then convert to US, and then we've got a total for the client. So if this client had some Euro documents and then they had Canadian documents, you'd see a Euro total, a Canadian total, and then a US total to represent what that value is for the client in the home currency. And then at the end, we've got a statement cycle converted to US total. So these US totals on the MC report should align with the non-MC report. In total, 23.1 million, 9.5 million of which is current. So the balance, 7, 9, 13 and a half, 14 million-ish is, overdue. Let's go back to our receivables and let's look at what's coming due. So same thing in terms of the AR filters. It's going to show the AR documents and give us an indication of what is coming due. So let's head back to the same date. Let's choose this 13th instead. It's this smaller, different date here. So what this is essentially saying is as of January 13th, 2021, I have documents in the system that are dated and due on March 13th, 2021, December 31, 2021. And based on those dates, we can expect to see inbound cash flow of these amounts. In 30 to 60 days, we should expect to see $4,800 for this document. We should expect to see $4,600 for this document. Now, this document is older than the age date, and the reason it's still showing up over here is because payments that may have been applied to this document, it's overdue, are not shown on this report. Uh, so let's go down and see if we can have another look here. So again, based on the documents that are in the system and their due dates, it's going to categorize when we should expect to see inbound cash for those documents. So based on January 13th, if we go to the end, let's go back one page, we should expect to see, you know, $933,000 coming in pretty much right away, 16,000 coming in over the next 10 days, 4.8 million coming in across between the next 11 to 30 days, and then, 13 million coming in over the next month or two, for a total of 20 million coming in. Okay. Could run the same report in multiple currency. It'll give us an indication of, the euros that might be coming in or the Canadian dollars that might be coming in. See if we can find something. Here we go. So we should expect to see from Caribbean an inbound cash flow of 5,300 euro coming in within the 30 to 60 day time frame, which amounts to 64.79 US. And again, these numbers should be pretty similar: 933, 16, 4.8 million, and then about 14 million in the 30 to 60 day. But it now breaks it down by currency for you. Okay. All right, back to receivables. Let's have a look at AR balance by customer. And again, there is an AR balance by customer in multi-currency. So let's just look at the base version here. This is one where we send out statements to customers indicating an amount owed. So if we look at financial period, let's go back a few years. Let's look at February. And we run this. This is a report that we could use to verify how payments have been applied, particularly when there's some sort of a, AP, AR confusion going on between your customer and, where you think the payment's been applied. So the statement here will show, any outbound invoices and a description of them. But then if we look down here, there's a client with some outbound invoices, and then how a prepayment may be applied to it. We can also, let's see if we can find one with an actual payment. So here, so an invoice has gone out, 76,000. Then we see payments being applied in, and then when they're applied against that. If we go back to this, so the report format here, we're only showing open documents. If we select all documents, it'll require us to put in a specific customer. So if we choose a specific customer, let's just try this first one and see what happens. It'll give us a full breakdown as of February 2021 of exactly what happened with this client account up until this financial period. So starting at the very beginning, we've got an invoice going out for $16,010, a prepayment that's applied to it for $8,000, and then a payment that's applied to it for $8,010. And then we see the balances after each. If we head over to the end where something is more current, we see an invoice go out on 2/11 for 48.58. We see another invoice for office supplies, and then we have a payment, current month payment, 47.90, which looks like it's paid this off here. Okay. So down here, it looks like we've got a prepaid account and a write-off account. And it'll show where these accounts have been used for this client. So prepayment here of $8,000 was applied to this invoice. Prepayment here of $7,500 was applied to this invoice. Looking on the next page, we see a small balance write-off account was used for this document in the amount of $10. And it was applied against this invoice. Okay. So same thing with the customer balance by MC. You're just going to get it in the different different currencies. So let's see if we can find something. Right there. So here, that Caribbean Secretary Online, this is our balance due in euro and then in USD. Same info. The good thing about this report, whether it's the MC or the non-MC one, is you do have the ability to drill right into the invoice reference number and open up that invoice. Our invoice. You can also drill into, let's see, payments. And look at the application history of that payment and see how it's been applied. Make sure it's all accurate. Sometimes when there's an issue, you think that maybe a payment has been incorrectly applied to the wrong invoice, and that's what's causing a dispute. We're able to go in and have a look, make some corrections if needed, so that things align. Okay. So let's go back to the reports here. One more key report, age period sensitive. This is one that has a historical cutoff. It's important for your month end because it should reconcile to your AR balances. So let's see if we can go back a few here, and let's look at January. Actually, you know what? Let's look at year end before the January, because we did see. So your AR age period sensitive, we run this for 12/20, it's going to be aged on the last day of 12/20. So any payments that have been applied to any of these documents in January 2021 or February 2021 would not reflect here. That way you're able to always go back to this report, run it, get a total. In this case, it's 17.6 million. This number should reconcile with your balance sheet and show 17.6 million for AR. That way you can always go back and make sure that things reconcile appropriately. That's the key thing about this report. It determines the state of the documents at a specific cutoff date. So unlike the aged report where payments are applied and they come off of the age report, this one won't have that. So That is the key about this one here. And also remember that with this report, you're not picking a specific date, you're picking a financial period. So as of January 31st, our balance here changed. That's because it's looking at the documents and then any payments applied in that current month against those documents. No future payments are applied to this report. Okay. All right. So moving on, let's go back to our presentation. And we spoke about these reports. Let's look at credit holds. So credit holds are controlled through the customer, and the limits set are based on days, dollars, or both. And so we've got a little snippet here of a customer card where some credit verification rules are applied. In this case, we've got limit and days past due. So in this limit of 900,000, if a client goes over $900,000 limit, it's going to have a hold. If it goes over 90 days past due, we're going to get a hold. Okay. Oops. So let's head over to Acumatica, head into receivables. Let's look at customer. All right, let's find our AA customer. Okay, and then for billing, oops, financial. There's our credit verification rules. So in this particular case, we've got AA is disabled. And if we were to go and change it to days past due, we would say days past due, let's say 20 days past due. What would happen? So I would say that the customer days past due is greater than, has been exceeded. Because their first due date based on the open orders is March 2021. If we were to say it's a credit limit, say that the credit limit is $20,000, we are okay. If we say that the credit limit is $2,000, it's going to say that we're over our credit limit. If we say limit in days past due, so let's say we had a credit limit of 15,000. Now let's make it 30,000. So even though they have a high enough credit here and there is still a remaining balance, we're still going to get a flag because they're past due by more than, even if we put 60 days here, it's going to flag that still. Let's see if we can put like 500 days just for the sake of see if we can get that flag off. Maybe I need more than that. 365 times 2. Let's put 1,000 days. Probably come off now because the first due date is based on March 2021. Just frivolously put in 1,000 days here just so that we can get that off. If we change this credit limit down to 12,000 now, it'll probably flag again. Okay, that's how we manage our credit verification rules. I'm going to just change it back to disabled now, and make those settings for each customer accordingly. So back to our presentation. Next slide, we're going to look at calculating overdue charges. So this gives us the ability to go out and put charges on our statements for overdue accounts. It's based on the statement cycle. We can also add or include administration fees. We can even include interest charged as a fixed fee or a percentage. So in this case down here, we've got our overdue settings, which is based on the statement cycle and where that income is charged to from a financial perspective. But we also have the option to put in any overdue fees that we want to apply arbitrarily, and we also have a charging method assigned here of a percentage with a minimum of $5. So we don't want to be charging, 35 cents in interest. We want to make it minimum $5, and we're going to look at 18% as the rate that we want to charge. So let's have a look at what that looks like in Acumatica. Okay. So let's find a different customer. Actually, this one's got a small balance. Let's find somebody with a big balance here. Let's see. Remaining credit limit, that's a lot. So let's find somebody with a big balance. Baker Development. No. Let's go back to our balance by customer. Let's just run this report, even if it's by today. Let's see who's got a big balance. So a bartender. Okay. We'll go back to clients. We head over to the bartending school. So they've got open orders here. So we can apply overdue charges. And let's see here. So this is where we can make the distinction if a customer is going to have overdue charges applied or not. So we'll hit save on that. And if we recall, going back to statement cycles is where we configure an overdue charge ID to a particular statement cycle. That statement cycle is connected to the customer. And then how overdue charges are set up is going to be over here, where we have that overdue charge ID is configured. So in this particular case, we've got due upon receipt, and it's an interest on the balance. It's going to be using the base currency. And so here is where we saw that screenshot. We can apply an arbitrary fee for overdue charges. And then we can also put a threshold. So here, threshold is, if the charge is like say maybe it's less than $5, it won't apply, or we can set a minimum amount. So in this case, I don't want a threshold. I want to charge wherever I can. I'm going to choose a percent with a minimum amount, and I'm going to say, okay, the minimum amount charged is $5. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe it's $10. I can change that setting, and I can also update the percentage rate that we're going to charge. So how does this all come together? So it all comes together when we run through our customer statements. And so we do have, when we're running the customer statements, we're running based on the cycles. We look to calculate overdue fees. We prepare the statements based on a date, and then we can print and email those statements. We can reprint the last one, or we can generate a statement on demand. Okay, so 3 steps really in this process is going to be looking at the processes here. So first thing we're going to want to do is calculate overdue charges. So I'm going to select a period, overdue charge date, statement cycle, end of the month, calculate. So because we're so, the documents are so old, it's calculated a huge amount of charges to apply over based on these massive overdue days. Let's see if we can go back something reasonable. Let's do December, 31. Let's calculate that. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Let's try December 2022. Okay, so 364 days. Let's try March 31. Oh, 90 days. Let's do February 2nd. Calculate. So 33 days overdue. Let's do January 10th. Okay, so here. So we'll notice that I put a setting of minimum $10, 18%, so 10 days. So if we look at the calculation of interest here, $1,361 times 18% for 10 days, it's less than 10 bucks. And so because it's less than 10 bucks, the arbitrary amount applied is $10 here. So once we have our overdue charges calculated, we want to select the accounts. So here we can make the distinction. Let's just pick a specific client. Let's choose, starts with AA. So we've got 2 invoices from Alta, and then we've got an overdue charge. So let's select those and process. Okay, so those have been processed. That will create documentation for these charges, and we should be able to review those in the invoices and memos area. So if we head over to, there it is. See if we can select that. All right, so next step is prepare statements. See if we can get that going. Prepare for, I think it was January 10, 2022. Process. Okay, end of the month. Ah, there it is, last finance charge date, there it is. And if we process, okay, so 1 has been processed. Now that prepare statement is done, this is not something that can be rerun. So once that is done, we move over to step 3, which is print statements. So here, that statement date, I'm going to see if I can find it. So statement cycle first. Okay, let's see if I can find that date. Let's show all. So now that I've got my show all, got my AA customer. So this one says here, don't print, don't email. Um, there's that AA customer. I can select boop and then process. And there's my customer statement. At this point, you're able to send to the client, email, print, um, do as needed. So that's the process for printing out customer statements. Let's head back. So today we looking at reviewed our AR aging reports, so multi-currency and non-multi-currency options. Went through the AR aging, coming due, sensitive, and customer balances. We looked at credit holds and how those are applied, as well as calculating overdue charges and how the setup for that is configured and applied to specific customers. We then went through the customer statement three-step process, which then gives you the option to email, print, or run on demand. Now that that is done, let's have a look and see if there are any questions. Doesn't look like there are any questions today. So with that being said, thanks again for joining us. If you want to head over to Acumatica engineering.com/acumatica-training. Get a list of other topics that you'd like to join in on. Next week, we have project change orders, following by generic inquiry and dashboards. This class is going to be recorded and available to you. So if you'd like to see the Rolodex of other recordings, head over to acumaticaengineering.com/maintenance-classes. Again, thanks for joining and have a good rest of your day.